Hello, this is my Managing Risk and Escalation presentation. My name is Josh Wallington. Um, sorry, trying to to the next slide. Okay, the agenda of this presentation is for the introduction. Then we'll go through objectives or the goals. We'll go through milestones, and then the strengths, weaknesses, anticipated opportunities, and threats of this project. So, introduction to this project, it will be a training course that will teach a team of engineers and tech leads on how to create and maintain a master data management platform. By the end of this course, the software engineers will know the ins and outs of the platform and will know how to configure all the components that the course covers. This knowledge will ensure that the company can rely on them to manage the platform and meet the company's requirements. So, the objectives or goals. Uh, the first one would be to create the data model for the objects and references that you need to manage. You would then create the attributes and list of values for the objects, create a workflow to create and maintain those objects that you've decided on, create user groups and users and set up their permissions for the platform. That way you can limit or not limit what they have access to. Then you'll be able to create, export, and import configurations for maintaining or reviewing the data. A lot of people like to export data to an Excel so they can filter and manage their data that way. Finally, you'll create a web user interface for the users to be able to edit the information of the data model with those attributes and list of values for the objects, all within a nice UI so that it's easy for the users to use. The milestones. So by the end of the first week, the data model with all the objects and references the software engineer has created will be fully realized. Milestone 2 would be by the end of the second week, the attributes and list of values will have been created and made valid for the objects in their data model. For milestone 3, that is by the end of that week, a workflow will be configured to create and maintain the object's attributes. It will include a state that allows the objects to be reviewed. That idea being data stewards who can approve if a change is valid or not. The fourth milestone would be by the end of that week, the user groups and their permissions for the platform will have been set up. There will be at least a user group for requesting changes, as well as a user group that reviews those changes, like I mentioned in the milestone 3. Milestone 5 is by the end of that week, export and import configurations will have been created, allowing users to export the data out of the system and see it in Excels, as well as the ability to bulk update data with import configurations. So now we'll cover the strengths, weaknesses, anticipated opportunities, and threats of this project. Starting out with the strengths, we'll be able to learn master data management. By completing all the objectives and milestones, software engineers will have the experience of creating an MDM system. This is highly valuable for the company. Data modeling. By having the software engineers create a data model, they'll learn what would be the best design for their use case. So based on the requirements that are of the company, the data model is always going to be different for every single one. And so being able to create a data model is very important. The web UI. By having the software engineers create a web UI, this allows them to gain experience in user interface design. This is a huge strength for a software engineer these days. Weaknesses, confusion. Initially, it can be hard to grasp all the ideas and concepts of MDM. Once a software engineer has learned what it takes, they will have a great knowledge base. The second weakness would be getting behind. If the milestones aren't met on time during training or software engineers could get behind and struggle to meet the requirements by the end of the course. You want to make sure you keep on top of those milestones. Otherwise, by the time you get to the end, you might not have completed everything you need to complete. The third one is integrations. This course doesn't include learning about integrating the data to flow to other systems. That is because this is a big subject that requires a lot of work. Learning how to work with an SFTP or APIs or Kafka streams, those are all things that would come with integrations, and that's a whole other subject. Some anticipated opportunities. Rising demand. A lot of major corporations need a master data management system. Being able to configure and manage one would be a huge benefit to a software engineer's career. Ever-changing landscape. With the number of changes that happen in a company, there will always be an ever-growing list of requests coming from business. I know this from my own personal experience. It never ends. There's always something that's being asked of the MDM team. Emerging technologies. With the amount of technology these days, there's always a lot of opportunity to learn an MDM system and grow as a software engineer. So, threats. Platform choice. By training on the platform provided by the one company, if you go to another company someday, they may be using a different platform and you may have to learn how to configure, do those things again. But at least you would have the knowledge base of what it takes for an MDM system. Resistant to change. Some companies don't want to change their current systems to an MDM platform. Difficult discussions may need to take place in order to get them to agree to transition. Management resources. Your experience as an MDM software engineer can be affected by what management you have at your company. Depending on different managers, your experience could be completely different on how you feel when you're working on a team. So thank you. That was my presentation of managing risks, and thank you for listening.